Hello ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're watching today, I'm taking the opportunity today to tell you about Wonder Foods. I'm the actual founder of Wonder Foods. I founded this range over 36 years ago, and it wasn't because I wanted to build a product range and a health food range, but back in the very late 70s my son nearly died of an asthma attack, and he had eczema. He was very allergic to the cow's milk formula, and while he was staying away at a family friend, he had far too many dairy products and he became very ill and wound up in the Royal Brisbane Hospital, and he became ultra sick. As a newly graduated naturopath at the time, I started to look into it a lot more deeply, and I came to the conclusion it was because he was allergic to the type of protein that's in regular cow's milk. So in the early 80s, I decided to create a better formula, and as I put all the ingredients together, one of my mentors, Dr. Bernard Jensen, who's since passed, one of the grandfathers of the health industry as we know today, especially with the vitalising diets and de-alkalising foods, and a lot of the information we're getting today about health, some of it will have emanated from Dr. Jensen. He was also one of the main teachers internationally of the science of and the art of iridology, so I became a trained iridologist as well. So during that time, Dr. Jensen used to recommend, as even some of the German health experts recommended, whey as an alternative to milk. The only thing is that most children won't drink normal whey. It's quite, has a, possibly to some people, potentially a foul taste. So I got together with a food technologist and we produced a product called Wonder Whey. This is the product here. It was originally called Wonder Foods Natural Whey Drink, and of course we then, years later, improved the packaging and decided to actually change the name to Wonder Whey, because that's what it is. Now, you'll ask me, what is the difference between that and a milk formula? It's really down to the type of protein that you have in there, because in mother's milk, the majority of the protein in mother's milk is what's called lacto-albumin. It's a much less complex protein than the casein. The beta-casein that you've probably seen the ads on television for A2 milk and so on, there's some slight differences in that casein protein. The main thing is that it's indigestible for a number of people, and especially kids that have got the spectrum of asthma and eczema, and where they're allergic primarily to the casein. A lot of doctors get it wrong because they say to the patient when they have symptoms like this that the child may very well have a lactose intolerant. Australians and Caucasian people are not generally that prone to being lactose intolerant, because we've been using dairy products for eons of time. And it's not the lactose. Lactose is not got a protein antigen, which is what really gives rise to the allergen. It's the type of protein, and especially when milk gets pasteurised and the enzymes are destroyed in milk, there's a greater propensity for that protein to cause mucus and cause inflammatory responses. And that's exactly what happened with my son. So as soon as we took him off the cow's milk at the time and the formula, he certainly was better. And that's why we knew when he went to the hospital, because he'd been consuming dairy products. He was staying with my brother and sister and brother-in-law. They weren't aware that he was dairy allergic, and they were feeding him custards and all sorts of dairy products. So in any event, it was a good turning point. I brought my son up and the rest of my family, my two daughters, using this as a milk alternative, and they're all grown into wonderful adults, and I have now 6 grandchildren, and my grandchildren to these days have been also brought up on Wonder Whey. Now, it's not suitable for a baby because there's certain nutrients that a baby must have in the way of essential fatty acids, the level of iron and so on. But it's absolutely perfectly suitable for a child who's now feeding on solid foods, because then there's a broader especially if there's some greens in the child's diet and there are other fats added in the child's diet. So when you do that, then you can go on to Wonder Whey when the child's still having the milk as the milk alternative as a beverage that they're supplementing their diet with for extra protein, and also before they go to bed, because it still has the same benefit in inducing sleep by having a glass of Wonder Whey before the child goes to bed. It can be used in all areas where milk is indicated. You can make this is the big bag. We often have bodybuilders buying this, you know. They love it because they can add their extra proteins with all their glutamines and all their other amino acid. They can add it to that and have a wonderful smoothie. A lot of people say it tastes better than milk. What happens is you put 200 grams. You put a 200 grams in this is a 200 gram bag. You put this in a 2 litre container. This makes a full 2 litres of milk. It's much more economical than all the other milk alternatives on the market, like soy and almond and coconut milk. It's much more economical for the family, and it's even more economical when you take it like this. So the objective is you want to make up a fish sauce. You can make up a fish sauce by using this as a milk alternative. As I said, you can make it as a base. It will keep made up in a jug for about 5 to 6 days in the refrigerator. So it's just ready to use like an ordinary milk. Now, if you're out on a farm somewhere and you need to store up the powder, this can go in the freezer, and it can stay in the freezer for as long as you need it, and you can take it out. It will not go hard in the freezer. So you can take it out, you can make up the milk that you need for that week, and then you can put it back in the freezer, and that's obviously going to keep it away from vermin and other things, because it's such a wonderful food. It will also attract little critters into your house looking for it because it's so nutritious. So that's how we got founded with the Wonder Foods, and thank you.